keeps it real. Fancy Nancy's here, she's the deal. A little bit of real, a little bit of fancy. Nicole Russo and my girl, Fancy Nancy. High producing queens, yeah, we're icon status. With that polished grit, you can't combat us.
Trust your gut, honey, she knows what's up. Nick and Nance, a little real, a little fancy.
Okay, guys, we are here today with my personal friend, Angel Howard. She's with Dragonfly Counseling. And so we're going to interview her today and have her tell us about all the fabulous things she does. Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hey.
Really excited for this conversation. You know,
Awesome.
I think mental health in general is a topic that that sometimes people, I think, used to have a little bit of a stigma to, and now I think it's more and more talked about, accepted. Almost everybody has a therapist if you're able to have one at this point. I think it's a good thing for anybody, but this conversation should be awesome. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are so our guests can get to know you, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So my name is Angel, like you said. I am a mental health clinician. I have a private practice called Dragonfly Counseling where I work with primarily women dealing with life transitions, high-functioning depression, anxiety, just high-functioning women all around, and just life, honestly, being mothers, carrying invisible loads and all the things. Before I did this, I was an educator for 15 years, and then this is my second act. So I am a new mama, kind of. My daughter is 3, and so this having her has helped me navigate the mental health space on just a completely different level, creating more empathy and having a better understanding for women trying to balance it all.
Great transition, balance, that word. I get the question all the time, like, how do you balance it all? And I'm like, it's such a facade, right? You almost feel like a fake sometimes because it's like if people really had an insight to like your daily life, you know, they get the little glimpse and it looks like you're balancing it all. But really and truly, something always feels like it's failing or you're neglecting something always, you know, or if you have multiple kids, you're giving one kid more time than another kid. I mean, it's never really balanced, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's just kind of like that myth that sits out there, like, how do you balance it all? So when people ask you and they come in and they're dealing with the pressures of all of those things, like, what is your response to that?
My response is the word balance is a societal facade that they sold to women to get us to have babies and work full-time jobs and look good and stay hydrated and have enough protein and go to Pilates and see our friends.
You don't do all that?
Oh my God. I know on Instagram we do it all, right? So we're like in it, we're ready, we're having a good time. But I do feel like the word balance is just a short sell because it's impossible. Like you said, something falls by the wayside. When I think of the word balance, I think of my mom. My mom used to always say, Angel, you can have it all, but not all at once. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like from young girls, we are told, you know, get ready so you can know how to cook, so you can take care of somebody and take care of kids. But I think the word that I use with my clients is you have to learn how to create a life that feels harmonious to you. It's all about harmony. Because like you said, something is going to fall. And normally what falls?
You. Yeah. And that's the hard part about it, right? Because it's like even yesterday, it was a simple phone call that I had gotten from a friend. And I answered the phone and I was like, hey. And hey, what's up? And the friend was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm just tired, you know, and just saying what was going on. And they were like, yeah, I almost feel like I need to hang up and call you back because I feel like I called the wrong person. But they expect me to be this like super bubbly every time I answer the phone and all the things. But it's kind of like I just feel depleted, like energy wise, all the things. And I didn't answer like my normal self, which was off-putting to what they expect.
Right.
But it was also eye-opening to me because it made me realize sometimes in trying to have the balance of everything, you kind of lose yourself a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because the question is it you or did she call you or did she call and expect your mask?
Yeah.
Right? Because we get up and we go.
And we put on the mask.
And you get it done, right?
Yeah.
And you smile and we put on our makeup and we get fly and we're cute and we show up. But then we go home and we deflate like balloons. Mm-hmm. So the important aspect is how do you try to take care of yourself when you're giving 100% to literally every facet of your life. So how do you guys do that? How do you?
For me, I have some non-negotiables, like my workout time. I rarely will skip a workout. Like on my scheduled workout times, that's like my time, and nothing will get in the way of that unless it's an emergency, So that's another one that I do. Admittedly, more than once a day. Take a bath.
I love
Leave me alone, everybody. I'm in the water. Unless you want to come in and see me naked, then
Absolutely, yeah.
So the bath is another one that I do. How about
What do you do?
I think for me, it's probably the workout, like that 1 hour of like silence. And luckily, like Nicole and I hold each other accountable because we actually work out together.
Oh, I love that.
So that works pretty well. It's just my time. Also, I sit in the car a lot. Like even when I get to destinations, I'm in the car, or if I'm at my child's therapy, I'm in the car. So I've found things in the car to do for myself, whether if it's reading a book that like just kind of takes my mind off of something, and not try to be like on a social, like reading a self-help book or reading something that gives me inspiration or something like that, because I have to be at this place, but I'm sitting, but it's like finding the time to use for myself,
Right.
in a place where I'm have to be for someone else.
Yeah.
What do you recommend, or what do you?
So those are all great things, right? Because those are all coping skills. So moving our bodies are it's like a natural antidepressant.
Yes.
Reading, finding ways to disconnect. But I always tell my clients also, when people ask you how you're doing, tell the truth. A lot of it is like just the consistent containment. Right? I always use the analogy of like when you are piling trash in the trash can and you don't feel like taking it out. What happens when you put that last piece over?
It overflows.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a very true thing. I had a counselor one time tell me, people can only respond to what you show them. So if you walk around looking like you're perfect and you're great and everything's just peachy, they don't know any different. Right? Because that's what you're showing, I guess, like you said, the mask. And so that's how people respond to you, like everything is fine. But I think the trouble with society, at least from my experiences, is when people ask you how you're doing and sometimes you respond honestly, their response back to you isn't so pleasant. It's almost like you're a complainer or you're being negative but it's kind of like, well, then don't ask me the question if you don't want an honest response. But a lot of time they don't expect you. It's just like people say, how are you? And I'm fine. How are you? But you're not really fine, right? But we all just say, I'm fine, or, I'm living the dream, or whatever it is. I'm managing, I'm surviving, whatever the words that you're using, right? But when you give an honest answer, I feel like they don't know how to respond to you. It's almost off-putting.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable. And because my favorite one is, I'm doing my best. That's what I say. I'm doing my best. Because some days my best is like top tier. Some days my best is real low, right? But I am comfortable with whatever my best is. But I think what you're talking about is like a generational thing.
Yeah.
And so I say it because we're breaking cycles, right? Like our generation of mothering, we are breaking cycles. And a part of that cycle is teaching our kids to not be authentic about how you feel just because it makes other people uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or don't show up as weak, especially to our boys.
Exactly.
Right? Like, so you complain about if you complain too much about your day or you're not having a good day, you still got to man up and act like you are, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
because it's almost like an indoctrination, right? When we all have kids. So when babies are crying or they're uncomfortable, what do people say? You're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. You're fine.
You're brave.
So from an early age, we're taught, okay, I'm fine. So that teaches us early not to trust.
Or feel what you're feeling. Because you
sit in
saying
it.
you're fine is me diminishing that you are really uncomfortable for something, which is why you're crying.
Exactly. And then I learn, okay, my feelings make everybody around me uncomfortable. So I have to spend my life trying to figure out how not to make people uncomfortable, which is why so many of the women in our generation have anxiety and depression. And a lot of times it may not even be that actual diagnoses. It can be just coping skills. It can be soft life skills, right? Like if you guys have a community, you told me you work out together, but think about how many women don't have the community to say, girl, I am not okay today. I'm struggling.
Yeah. Because I was also going to say sometimes, although I definitely believe in like not lying and not just always wearing a mask, but also there are people you can trust with real, and people that you know that you might not be able to trust with getting that real just because of who they are.
Yeah.
And you get to know that as you know your people, right?
Well,
Safe
and when you
spaces.
have your people, sometimes you don't even have to say, like, they already know. Like, we went to work out one time and I was just having a day and I told Nicole, I just don't feel like talking today. Like, I'm dealing with a lot inside about my kid and I just am not in the space where I can, like, talk.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it's fine. So we just worked out and we didn't talk. We just worked out.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Safe spaces are important, but I feel like some people forget.
Yeah.
Because we get so consumed with our homes and our spouses and our families. We're showing up as mothers, as daughters, as friends, as sisters. It's a hard transition. So it's finding the safe space and saying, I'm having a hard time. And I don't know who you're going to get, but just give me some grace. And that's pretty much how I try to coach my clients through that.
How do you distinguish between, this is also for kind of high-powered women, I think. How do you distinguish between ambition that's aligned with your values and ambition that is driven by external pressure or the fear of, like, falling behind?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question for y'all. 'Cause
I
you
know.
guys are high-functioning, right? High-performing women. Mm-hmm. So how do you decide this is something something I'm choosing to do that is absolutely authentic to who I am, opposed to this is what everybody expects me to do?
I do a couple things for this one that I think help, but you probably have some better direction on this as a professional. But the couple of things that I do pretty regularly is I'll try to write down what my goals and what my values are.
Yeah.
And then see if it's almost like I use the values as a filter. If something I'm doing or working on isn't in alignment with that, then I know that I need to try to find a way to offload or not spend time on that. Or, a lot of times in business, if it's not adding to the bottom line, we're all in the business to make profit, then you really gotta think, why is it that I'm working on this? Is it just to be busy? Is it just to fill my ego? There could be lots of other reasons rather than it's in alignment with your goal or your financial goals. I had another one on this one that I do, but I forgot. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
It'll pop
but
up.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
I think for me, it's more like I just try to figure out, like, at the end, like, what is my end goal in every situation? And normally it's to help someone. And how important is my role in helping them in the situation? That's where I try to say, because I also know that, like, in every situation, like, I know I'm not for everyone. So to try to be everything to everyone, that is exhausting. Like, there's certain things where I'm like, well, somebody will come to me with something and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm your person, but I have someone that I can refer to help with that type thing. Because I think, like, mentally, if I try to be that ambitious and all the things, if it's more than I can take on, then I'm already setting myself up to fail, right?
Right.
Whereas before I used to do that. I used to just take everything. But now that I have kids and I'm trying to find the balance, per se, I don't do it as much.
Yeah.
Which is hard too, right? Because it's
hard to say no.
It's hard to
Sometimes
say
it
no,
is.
right?
Yeah.
So, but the hard part about that is, like, you want to help everyone and you want to be like, oh, I'm this great person and I do all these things and, la, la, la. But, like, sometimes, like, where you're at in the moment is just where you're at. Mm-hmm. And you can get there, but maybe just not yet.
Right.
So I just try to keep that in mind lately. Like, we've had this before, like, for sales and stuff. Like, I used to have, like, the goal, like, I want to sell, like, 30 million, 25 million and close all these houses and blah, blah. And I'm like, I've been there, done that. And that's no longer my goal. Yeah. It's actually horrible.
Sometimes it's like where you are in life.
Yeah, where I am in life.
Yep.
It's just you're not the season where you were when you were in your 20s anymore.
Yeah.
Things are different.
And it's like, I like thinking about that is actually horrifying to me, just because when I think about what I had to do, what it cost me to get to that level, and, like, where I am now with my kids, like, I wouldn't choose it.
Yeah.
If I could choose.
Absolutely. And you said a perfect word, season, right? Like, I think as we mature and we get older, we realize that things are seasonal. And so I'm sure it's taking you to a long time to get to this place. Like you said, in your 20s, you were like, let's go. Let's sell all the houses, ball it out. I'm millions, right?
Yes.
But then you get to a place where you're like, is it worth my sanity?
Yeah. Is it worth my peace?
Is it
I
worth
almost
my
like my
peace?
peace is like huge.
Can I take a bath instead of doing
Yes.
this, right? So I think like that's something that's real important. I try to really tell my clients, like, hey, not every opportunity is not your opportunity.
That's a good one.
Because at the end of the day, sometimes, like you said, you're not for everybody. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, listen, I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. So if we go through this intake and you're not feeling me, you are not going to hurt my feelings. It's cool. Like, and of course, I want the clients, right? Because we're all, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make money and live a nice life for our children. But at the same time, at what cost?
At what cost?
And so I think both of your approaches to it are phenomenal. The list, right? The prompts that you have for your internal dialogue. But imagine the women who are just starting, right, in their early 30s, and how much pain you can save them by showing them, hey, early, don't kill yourself because then you're going to get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of burnout, how do you see burnout in your clients that are like high functioning women? Like, what does burnout look like? Because I know it's different for everyone, but like, what are you noticing like in society with the patients and things?
Just irritation. I feel like a lot of things, because women, right, they think we're either perimenopausal or we're coming on our periods, right? Or,
I'm always wondering if I am. I'm like, am I perimenopausal? Because I have an attitude today.
Girl, it's okay.
Like,
so listen, I carry around, I call it my peri fan because I sweat a lot inside.
Yeah.
So I always have my fan. I'm like, but that's what people don't understand. Like certain things have symptoms, right? So depression, anxiety, all these things. But a lot of it can be manifested as just annoyed, being short, right? Loss of concentration, forgetfulness, the fog, right? But a lot of this too sounds like perimenopause, right?
Yeah.
So you get very confused at like, okay,
what's
is
causing
this?
it?
So a lot of women I think it's a pause. Let's pause and let's go through what's really going on, right? So some of it is coming out as fatigue. Some of it is coming out as agitation. Some of it is coming out as just anger, right? Or resentment, right? Because you go home and whoever you live with, you running all around the house like a chicken with its head cut off, and they sitting there hanging out, eating popcorn. And you're like, do you not see this mess? Get up, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you're crazy because you finally say something, but it's things that lead up to this. So I think that's why I say what you're feeling. Sometimes I say to my wife, I'm like, listen, I am tapped. I need you to do this thing because I don't have it today, right? But before I didn't say that, and I just did it.
And then that's the resentment.
The resentment
and
builds.
the shortness.
And I'm looking at you and we're in therapy together and I'm like, ugh. But it's my bad though, right? Because we have to take that accountability because they can't read our minds. Right,
They can only respond to what we show them.
They only respond to what we show them. So if we're bopping around, they're going to sit down and let you do everything. So I think that's what I'm noticing in my women that is really showing up. It's just like shortness, anger, resentment, agitation, and honestly just compartmentalizing or completely dissociating. So just completely disconnecting, right? Have you ever like been driving and you look up, you're like, damn, where am I going?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Right.
I'm like the queen of dissociation. I'll tell you that.
Right. You're like, oh, man. And I remember saying to myself sometimes, like, this is not safe. Like, this is not the way we're supposed to be living life in this awkward autopilot. So I think, like, that's really how it's showing up for women, just the disconnection and just not knowing how to turn inward and kind of find our attunement with ourselves again.
How do you recommend somebody kind of gets back in tune with themselves?
Girl, go to therapy. Like, honestly, people get sick of me saying this, but I say it because for every season of our life, it's almost like a car, right? Sometimes we'll keep driving if that light is on, but you need to be taking it in to get it checked, right? We go for our mammograms and we go for our pap smears. People don't go just to check in, right? Even if you have a therapist and you've been with them for a while and you feel like you're done, see him every 6 weeks, just for a tap-in, right? Just to make sure, like, okay, I just kind of need help verbally processing. To me, that is the main thing because also kind of to what you were saying, your therapist can only help you with what you tell them.
Yeah. I always say, like, when I'm with my therapist, I'm like, I'm going to be 100 because otherwise, what's the point? Like,
Why are we here?
Why are we even here?
Absolutely.
I've got to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, because if I come off as anything but real, then how can you help me?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but that's a struggle for most women.
It is.
The vulnerability.
The
Because we associate vulnerability with what?
weakness.
So even in therapy, that shows up because you don't want your therapist to think
You're weak or bad or you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
I know.
And I'm like, just say what you need to say so we can.
Yeah,
I always say,
work
I'm
through the
like, girl, you
shame.
should have led with that. If we would have started there, we could have been a lot further by now. So I think that's a
I
big
always
thing.
too, like, I was seeing my therapist almost every week for a while, and there would be sometimes I'm like, I just talked to him 7 days ago. I don't need this. Like, I don't need this. But then I'd talk. And I'd be like, oh, I needed that.
Yes.
Like, I absolutely needed that.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad it happened.
Your life doesn't need to be a dumpster fire to go talk to a therapist. If you wait until everything's on fire, that means you waited too long. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. I think it's so hard to unlearn that women need to be doing everything. Like, that's something that is like so hard to unlearn.
Absolutely.
Because you want to be great at your job. You want to be a great mom. You want to be at all the things. You want to be a great wife. You want to do all these things, right? But it's like, how do you unlearn? Like, how do you teach your clients to unlearn being everything to everyone?
Yeah. I go to the root. Right. And I know it's funny because I remember when I started therapy when I was younger, my mom always said, so it's always, you always blame the mom. And now that I work with women, it does come down to the mom because we are the first teachers. Right. So for me, I go back to the root. I don't stay there, but I go back to that little subconscious voice. And often that subconscious voice is your mom. And because our moms show us things and we think that that is the blueprint. So going back and talking about what we saw as young girls, as teenagers, as in our early 20s, and then working through, does that really serve me in the place that I'm in my life right now? Do I have to do it that way? And what are some other approaches that I can take that are better for who I am as a woman today? And I think, I do deal with a lot of generational cycle breaking because that's really what it is, right? Either you saw your mom do a lot, so you do a lot, or you saw your mom not do anything, so you do a lot, or you saw right? Either way, if you really sit back and think about, like, who am I mimicking? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes you're mimicking the woman or the women that you were surrounded with. It may not be your mom, maybe your aunts or your grandmas or your TTs or whatever. But I feel like I always start there, and women are always like, I don't want to, but my mom was great. And I'm like, I'm never attacking my mother. But you have to understand, you can love somebody and say, that may not have been the best example. Because our kids are going to be on somebody's couch one day. Yeah. And they're going to be like, my mom, right? And it just, because we were the first teachers. And that is what it comes down to. And so that's where I really start with everybody. I start at the root of the tree. Because if you don't get to the root, you can fix all the lovely branches and all the beautiful flowers. But if the root is messed up, the tree's never going to flourish.
Well, I think this generation has a whole new set of expectations and societal norms because, it was just a generation ago where, gender roles were a whole lot more pronounced. And really, most women back in the 50s, 60s, they didn't work yet. So then how do you deal with now women getting into the workplace and the expectation that comes along with, well, are you expected to still do everything at home?
Right.
Like the women did when their sole job was to take care of the home? Right. Or how do you then balance the fact that expectation never went away, but yet here we're also trying to, right now, most people, especially starting out, if you don't have a 2-income household, it's hard in the streets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you deal with the fact that it's almost like, we're in real estate. The average age of new home buyers right now is 40. Like, jeez. And that's pretty much because of this revolution of women working, where prices have gone up. You can't. No, gone are the days. It's really hard. There are some out there, but it's really hard as a young person to afford a house on your own. Absolutely. So you're talking, you're married, you got 2 incomes, you have to contribute at this point. Absolutely. That's what prices are like. And then, so you have that pressure on you as a woman now. and you have the pressure of cooking, cleaning, momming. So how does the society, what do you see, like, how do you help a woman kind of handle all those pressures? And where do you see society kind of going as a result?
So I think that a big part of this, the name of the game is like access. This is a very like situational like conversation, right? Because for some women, I say, get the help. If you can afford the help, get yourself some help. Get the nanny, get the au pair, outsource, do what you need to do. But like you said, there's also another side to this where a lot of the middle class is being erased, right? So a lot of people do not have the access to do all of that. So I help a lot of women schedule, prioritize, which are I just call soft skills, right? Things we should learn when we're younger that maybe we didn't because people were busy. But it's a soft skill. What's the priority? How can you plan out your week to have more, to really know what's going on so you can help the anxieties of like your daily life, right? So it's like, okay, what can you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? What day are you taking off? When I had my daughter, I would go. And it took me like 2 years to finally say, okay, I'm going to have a lunch break. When she goes down for a nap, I'm going to sit down. Because normally when she sat down, I washed clothes, cleaning. I vacuumed, I did all the things. But then I realized, okay, I'm burnt out. So I had to break everything down into small increments. My mom used to always say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's really how I try to approach most women because, you know, Instagram paints this facade that everybody can have, you know, the hairdresser come into the house and you get your nails done. I mean, nails have gone, everything has gone up. So a lot of women are DIYing it. We're not even able to go.
I'm a press on girl all the way.
Girls, me too.
Yes, that $8 pack lasts me for 3 cents.
Girl,
Okay, it takes me 10 minutes.
Girl, I found some good glue.
Yes.
Me and that glue go hard.
You're going to have to teach me. But I will say, sitting in that chair getting my feet rubbed is a self-care kind of thing.
So that is one thing I do not skimp on. I do get my toes done.
I get my toes done too because we have the ingrown toenail problem. As I've shared before, we're not even going to attempt that ourselves. Right. But I do press-ons. Today we're just
I got my press-ons.
There you go.
I got my press-ons. Yes. But I do try to let women know, like, it's access. And I feel like I'm gonna say, I don't want to say Instagram, but social media is heavily affecting this like mindset, right? That if you can't, it's either one or the other. Either you are balling out and you got the hair lady coming to your house and your fridge is like perfectly color coordinated and you have all the beverages and everything in glass containers, or you toss, you know what I'm saying? There's no happy medium right now. And I think that is the problem. And it's all about the aesthetics.
Yeah. I do think that it contributes to mental health of women is
1,000%.
like, what do you look, you see, like, just like I worry about my teenagers on Instagram, like seeing the ideal on there, but it's all fake anyway. Everybody's filtered and whatever. But it affects us in this season of our lives when you look at somebody and you feel like they have everything together.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's the thing. It's like, how do you relax? Because even like relaxing for someone so
you
high,
feel guilty.
I feel guilty.
Or
Like
if I'm relaxing, I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Like I could have organized the kitchen. I could have done this. I could have rearranged my furniture.
She's like, girl, I'm not organizing the kitchen, child.
I'm just saying the stuff I'm like, you know,
I understand.
Yeah,
it's
like
stressful.
it's stressful because it's like even just, I have a hard time just doing nothing.
Yeah. I have a hard time.
That's a hard mental thing for me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Or watching shows. What shows? I don't want shows. You have time for shows.
But that's why you have to do it. Because I don't know if our girls, our children, they're watching this. And if we really want to break these cycles, right? There's a revolution in rest. Right? So you have to show, even if you just set a timer. I tell people to set a timer. Give yourself 30 minutes. Sit down. Just sit down. You don't have to scroll. You don't have to watch anything. Sit down. Look out the window. Go outside. Just take a deep breath. Whatever that looks like for you. But it is important because our generation is like at that cusp, right? Because our parents are boomers, right? So it's like we have very much that mentality of you work till you die, right? You work, you get a good job, you retire, right? And so we are very much that mindset, but we're now feeling like, okay, but no, I deserve a little bit of peace, right? I deserve to be able to go on that vacation and kick it and chill. But how do you take that calm that you have at that all-inclusive resort and bring it home. That's the thing. So it's maybe setting a timer. Maybe you don't rest in your house. The fact that you do it in the car.
Yeah, I sit in the car. Sometimes when I get home, I sit in the driveway. Like, I don't even open the garage because if I open the garage, my son will hear me and he will come out. Mommy, la la. Like, girl just sits in the driveway.
Wait,
like I'm in the driveway. Like, no one knows I'm in the driveway, but my butt is in the driveway and I'm just in the car. Sometimes I'm checking emails. Sometimes I'm just like finishing last minute things before I go in.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to start bath or all the things.
Right.
But like I do sit in the car. Yeah. It's like the car.
Next time, do what you're doing, wrap up, send the last email, but try to set a timer for like 5 minutes and don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And just sit and just be. Because we know when we go in the house, we're going into second shift. That's what I call it. Right? It's second shift. We still got 4 hours of the day left. So it's like, okay, let's do it. So I think like it's the intentionality of it. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I got it, because I struggle every single day. But I have to remind myself, like, we have to be intentional, because if not, we're never gonna break the cycle, and our children are either our boys are gonna expect it from their wives, or our girls are just gonna repeat it.
Yeah. And in taking care, so we're always performing, right? We're always like, okay, we're at work, we're performing for the people that need us at work. We're at home, we're performing for the people that need us at home. We're on the phone with a friend who needs us, we're performing, it's constantly give.
Yeah.
How do you recommend people get back into touch with the things that they need to restore, or what are their genuine needs in life?
This is my favorite question, because this is the first thing I always ask client. What are your hobbies? People, you got hobbies?
My hobbies is I like TJ Maxx.
That's not a hobby.
That is a hobby.
That's your job.
TJ, it is a job, but
so
it's also,
it's not a hobby.
Well, I love to walk TJ Maxx, and
She's like, my hobby is walking.
I like to walk TJ Maxx and Ross, and I like to find, like, it is a job, right? Because I'm going there, I'm getting staging things,
right?
I'm getting closing gifts, but like the thrill of the find is a hobby. Okay, the thrill of the find is totally a hobby. Y'all be sleeping on Ross and TJ Maxx, and I personally love it.
Yeah,
I get that it is also work.
Yeah, but it brings you peace.
It brings me peace.
Enjoy.
I don't know. I just go get a La La Land or a Starbucks, and I like go in there and have like my little hour, and I buy something, retail therapy, and then I take my butt home. But you're right. It's a hobby, but it's not. You're saying something just for me.
So if you ask like 5 of your friends,
they're all
like, be like, what's your hobby? Most women do not have hobbies, because our hobbies are our whole lives. So I always tell my clients, this is grammatically incorrect, but get you some whimsy. Okay, find some joy. What do you like to do?
Get some whimsy, Nicole.
We
need to find our whimsy, Nicole.
I pour a glass of Meomi, and
she said, that's my whimsy.
And that's my whimsy. And then I do the, y'all know on the Apple Music app where you can turn the vocals down and it's karaoke style.
Okay.
No.
That's a good
It's a good one.
That's a good hobby.
And then you just sing in the mirror or what?
Yeah, normally with a friend.
Oh, with a friend.
Yeah, with a friend.
You haven't introduced that to me. What's up with that?
I know.
Anyway,
she's not doing it with
she ain't doing it with me, girl. But
no, I do. I tell women we lose it, right? We lose the things that give us joy.
Yeah.
What makes you joyful? What makes you feel light and airy and whimsical? Find it. Some women like to knit, Legos, color.
I'm a Lego doer.
Puzzle. Mm-hmm. I told you about my Perry fan. I bought little Bedazzle. I started bedazzling stuff. I just bedazzle whatever, girl.
Sounds like one you would like.
I have a bedazzler.
Okay.
I do have one, yes.
I just rhinestone. I couldn't figure out crocheting because it gave me a headache. But some people like to crochet. I roller skate. So if you ever see a black girl roller skating down Katie Trail, it's me. Okay? But I love to roller skate. I started playing tennis. We have to find things outside of ourselves to remind us of who we were when things were calm, right? And so, if you really think about the hobbies you used to do, you're like, that might be nice, right? To kind of start again. And like you said, you like to work out. Working out is a great hobby. However, sometimes the obsession that comes with that coping skill can be a little dangerous,
Been there.
especially in this society, in this day and age, right? Like of like
been
skin tea, and we're trying to, you know, we got to eat the protein and have the stacked water.
It's exhausting.
I mean, I'm eating sardines out of cans because I need more protein. It's stressful.
It's so stressful.
So
the protein intake level is
a
like
lot.
on a whole nother level. Like I'm like, what bitch, what did you eat today? Like, wait, you've only eaten this. Like go to the fridge, and I'm like forcing myself to eat. I'm not even hungry, but I'm like literally
Get that cottage
cheese, some plain yogurt. Like I'm doing all the things, but I'm like also like I'm not even hungry. Like I'm literally like forcing myself because I'm mentally like, oh, you didn't eat enough. You're working out. You're gonna lose your butt. You're gonna You're gonna lose muscle. All the things.
Yeah.
Right, because we're older now, and so we have to think about all the things.
Yes.
So I really try to really remind my clients, like, what do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing?
And, you know, that's a hard, like, even right now when you ask me, and just having this conversation is really eye-opening because I couldn't even really, like, it goes back to, like, feeling like when you have a family and all these things, it's easy to, like, lose yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I answered you what I thought my hobby was, but then you turn around and said it's work, which it is, right? And so that's like something to think about for me because like when I try to think about, okay, what is my actual, like before I used to paint, I used to bedazzle artwork, like paint, and then I would put jewels and stuff on my art. And I had like certain things that I did, which I no longer do because I just don't have the time to do them. But like you said, like if I have to think about it real hard, it's really hard to actually think of a hobby, like what you consider.
So I started pickleball last year.
Oh, perfect.
So I did that.
Yeah.
I do athletic stuff. Like I like
You like to move your body.
I like to move my body.
And that's perfect. I love that. Like for a lot of women, like that is their jam. They like to move their body. But for the women who are like, it's hot, you know, this Texas heat, I don't want to go outside. Find yourself painting, go into the store, getting, you know what I mean? And the thing is about time is that's where the intentionality comes. A lot of women are like, I don't have time. And yes, time is hard to come by. Because would I rather take a nap? Yes. But you have to even if it's not every day, even if you make a daily promise to yourself or a weekly promise to yourself to do it once a week. Maybe it's your Sunday activity before the kids wake up. Maybe when they go down for a nap, it's the thing that you do. But it's all about prioritizing. And if we're talking about, you know, regaining our power back and getting attuned with ourselves, then we have to be intentional and we have to make the time. Because if not, we're going to blink and that's it.
Or you start experiencing the negative consequences of
burnout
and overload.
And that's when you're like, ugh, you're irritated all the time. You drop that one thing or you get hooked on the cabinet that one time and it takes you out and you have a meltdown. And so I think it is so important.
Didn't you have a meltdown like not long ago?
Yeah, she put you out there. She said, what happened, girl?
Something about something on a rug or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In my office, there was like, I have like a white and gold rug. Of course you do. Of course I do.
Of course.
And I went in the office and there was like all this like mud. And my husband was generally trying to help me clean it up like with like a steam cleaner or whatever. And I was just like so agitated that it was like dirty. But like when it comes down to it, it's not really like about the rug. I think it was more so like about like this is my space in the office. And I feel like I can never have anything to like myself because like the kids come in there, like some awards have been broken because he's playing and it knocks over. And my desk the jewels are being pulled out of the front. I mean, like I just can't have my own space. And I'm like, this is supposed to be my one space where everything in here can be bedazzled and glittery and sparkly and it's mine.
Yeah.
And to like see it like that, right? And I am like such a perfectionist, as you know. Like I'm like, this isn't going to get cleaned up. Like I have to get a whole new rug. Like this is going to bother my vision of like I'm OCD freak. Like this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And so he's like trying to help me, and I'm like, because all I see is like red. Because I'm like, why are people even in here?
That's the resentment, right? We talked about that earlier. Yeah. That's the manifestation of it, right? And so I think that's the big piece.
Yeah, right? And later I'm like, it wasn't really about the rug, right? It's about the space. It's about not feeling like I have anything of my own.
Yep.
Just kind of feeling like I'm giving, outpouring. Yep. But like it was just kind of like a burnout that came out through a dirty rug.
Absolutely. It was the straw. It's always the straw.
Yeah.
It's always the straw. right? And so I work with couples too, and I always say the argument about ketchup is never about ketchup. It's always about something else. And so it's the same thing. It was what the rug symbolized for you. And that is, this is my one thing. I deserve something nice because I'm giving everybody everything else. So it's just, if you would have stayed in the car a little longer.
Yeah.
And did a little meditation, maybe you wouldn't have gone that way. But I mean, I think, again, I think my favorite part about those stories is I can remember my mom, or the women around me when they used to crash out. I used to be like, they're so crazy.
Yeah.
Now that I'm this age and I'm a mom and a wife, I'm like, That's why they were so fussy. That's why they talk it was dang, she is not going to be quiet. She's not going to be quiet because nobody listens because y'all keep doing the same thing over and over again. So that nagging, what's deemed as nagging, is just, I have these expectations and I need them met, and why won't anybody listen to me? It's a desperation.
Yeah. Thanks for the call out, Nicole.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Remember that time, girl?
You
That's
remember
what
a
I'm
few
here
weeks
for.
ago when you had that whole meltdown?
About the rug. I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah, it's for real. Burnout is for real.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're just living in a time where the expectation of women is just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah. Do you think it's too much? Yeah.
I don't know if I can cuss, but hell yes. It is.
You can cuss.
Okay, thanks. It is absolutely absurd. And my issue is not just the expectation, but it's the deem of oh, you got it. Mm-hmm. You got it.
Because do you think that's because we show that we got it? And so people just expect us to keep piling on?
Absolutely, which is why I stopped doing that. You ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to tell you. But I love that. I have certain friends who just call me, girl, what's going on? And I'll tell you. And they were like, but you're handling it so well, but I don't want to have to. That's the thing, right? But we live in a society where we have to, our faces stay beaten, our hair is done and our nails are done and we're working out and we're in more 40s and people want us to look like we're in our 30s, but they want us to make money and they want us to work. It is absolutely just unrealistic. Unsustainable.
Yeah.
It's just unsustainable. So you have to figure out what's your thing, right? If we're talking about harmony, what does your best song sound like in your head? And make your life so that it looks like that. Every woman is different. For some women, caring for their children 24/7 is harmony. And I love that for them. Mm-hmm. For some women, going to work and caring for their children is harmony, right? Everybody is different. And I think it's also not comparing yourself, right? Just because you want to work and take care of your kids doesn't mean you're any less of a woman than a woman who wants to stay home. So, and I think there's no trophy for being the most exhausted woman in the world, right? So it's just whatever works for you. And I think as women, we just have to stop judging each other too.
Yeah.
That doesn't help. That was a new part of the video game when I had a kid that I learned. I'm everybody's does your daughter read? I'm like, girl, I'm barely making it. Stop talking to me. I think that's a big point of it too. You're always afraid of how people will perceive you. Are you a good mom? Are you a good wife? Do you cook? I remember I used to tell people, I cook every night. And I remember other wives would be like, okay, let's see how long that lasts. Right? But I grew up in a household where my mother cooked every night. And for me, that was the epitome of being a wife. Making a meal. And then I learned real quick, it's not sustainable.
No.
Right? So now I only cook Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, or Sundays, right? I had to break it up. But it's that comparison game that's gonna ruin all of us. So I wish we could just find one accord and say, listen, whatever works for you works for you. And how can I learn from you? I've learned so much from Nancy. Watching Nancy do all of the things, that's so dope to me. So when I became a mom, I was like, well, why am I so tired? Because nobody looks tired.
No, Nancy never looks tired.
All the women I know, I'm like, y'all, I'm over here barely making it, and y'all are just skipping around. I always say they bopping around, looking all magical. But then you get to really talk to women. So I wish that.
Yeah, because we sat down, I was like, nah, girl, it looks like that. But I have my moments behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
I was like, and you just have to pick what you can be good at. But the mom shaming is a whole nother level.
I know.
I told you, I've been mom shamed many times, for working, in the hospital when I'm having my baby but people, I think too, misjudge what my job really is, right? We don't get maternity leave.
Right.
We don't get benefits. We don't get time and a half. We don't get anything, right? Your other people's lives literally depend on me. And so if I'm not working and doing what I'm supposed to be doing for them, then their lives fall behind just because I'm having a baby.
Oh, that is a lot of pressure. Did you hear?
It's a lot of pressure.
But it's true, right? And I like literally got mom shamed. Like I had my son, and then I was like at a closing like 4 days later, and I posted my closing, and people had so much to say on my social media, like you left your baby to go to a closing, like you're so
you just
money
left him in the alley.
Yeah, like you're so money hungry, and it's like, yeah, no, my baby's asleep at home with his dad,
Right.
and I came to a closing that I'm, by the way, sitting at eating a cookie. So I could go home and breastfeed.
Right.
And I've been gone for like not even an hour.
Yeah.
So mind your business, because someone's life depends on me being there. He was an older man.
Yeah.
He was scared to go to closing. He'd been scammed out of trying to sell his home.
Yeah.
So there was a background story to it, but they don't know the background. They just want to judge your action.
That's it. It's the judgment. It comes down. And I think once we can get past this hump of social media, which I don't know if we ever will, but once we can get past that hump, I feel like everything will kind of baseline itself, because I feel more women are having these conversations. They're saying like, girl, I am tapped.
Yeah.
But then, everybody shows up. And,
Yep.
with their Amazon wish lists and
That's
all
why
the
I
things.
think it's super important to get you some good girlfriends, because if I didn't have like Nancy to relate to, or some of my other mom like girlfriends that are in the same stage of life going through very similar things, then I would feel like an alien. Like, am I the only one who feels like I can't handle today? Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's super important. And a lot of people are in a place in life with something going on where it feels like they can't find the girlfriends, or maybe their home life is so stressful they're not allowed to go get a girlfriend, or whatever that might look like for somebody.
Yeah.
And they're kind of trapped, and they do think, I mean, I can see how that would just add to the loneliness and
the community aspect to me is extremely important. Like, you have to have the community. How did you guys find your community? How did you guys meet?
Actually, we're friends through my husband. So my husband went to school with Nicole and grew up with Nicole. And so I know Nicole through my husband.
But we're a great example of friends who met like late in life. Like we met like probably late 30s and
Yeah, like 38-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, it's so hard at this age to find community and find friends. And it goes back to being intentional. You got to go out. Because I met you through people.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you have to go out and try your best.
And put yourself out there.
But if you're tapped
Yep.
and you are feeling not so confident because you don't feel so good about yourself.
Right.
How do you... And I think those are questions that unfortunately are hard to answer. I wish I had all the answers, and I wish I could give all the skills and all the things. But again, like I said, some things are about access and season.
Yep.
And sometimes it's just not your season.
That's true. And like, it just in our context, like I remember I had to be very intentional. Like I was like, I'm going to invite her to dinner. I need to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And extend
connect.
the invite and connect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, I'm sure we'd have become friends sooner or later. But it would
have been harder.
It would have been harder.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and I think we just live in a texting world.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I think it's one of those things with knowing who you can, because like, I don't talk to you every day, but if I have something, I feel like I can call you and be like, I'm having this moment, and you're just like, okay, this is what we're going to do, la, la, la. And like, same for you with me, like we don't just talk every single day or I see you, but I feel like you're for real. You're always going to get like realness. Yeah. And that's important, right? Because it's not masked. I don't have to call you and be like, oh, everything is so peachy and perfect, because that's not life.
Right. That's not life. And I feel like the older you get, the more you figure it out, And that's why, the girls are like, how's being in your 40s? And it's like, this is 40. Way better. You know what I'm saying? Because you're I don't know, you manage your expectations of others, and it's helpful.
And think of yourself too, like figure out like, okay, it's okay if I'm not perfect at this and this and this. It's okay. I don't have to worry about the fact that I'm not projecting this version of myself on social media or whatever. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's more self-acceptance, I think, in your
And I think it's all like less give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Like I feel like in my 40s I care less. I'm like certain things don't bother me as much. Like
Right.
you know, like if someone isn't necessarily reciprocating a friendship, okay. Cool.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. I'll catch you when I catch you.
Absolutely.
Like I don't have the time to like keep making an effort and like
Right.
it's just like certain things I'm just like I don't let it bother me as much as I did maybe when I was younger.
Yeah.
In my 40s. Like I think it's like you have too many other things going on that it's like I'm going to give the energy that I get.
Yeah. You don't take things personally.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Give more grace.
Absolutely.
That's how we should end. Do you have any advice for women out there that are trying to manage it all before we go? What if you could give one piece of advice, what would you give?
Find harmony. That's it. Find what works best for you. Do not compare yourself to anybody else and give yourself as much grace as possible.
Yeah, mine's give grace. I think give grace is always important because even to yourself, because I think that that's the hardest thing. Find grace, and I'm also going to add find a hobby because that's what I
That
need
is
to
a good
do.
one. I
need to get a hobby.
I think she gave you a good
I
nugget
need to
today.
get a hobby. I need a
can't
hobby. Like my husband does poker nights on Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to facilitate like a day for myself every week. And so I'm gonna need to like
She's
find
putting it out there, Ernest.
I was going to say, that is, if that wasn't a shoulder shrug.
I need a day. Nancy
Yeah,
needs a
you
day, and I
do.
need to figure out like a hobby.
Get
I need
your
to pick a
hobby.
day and have that hobby on that
and don't
day.
and make sure it's not an expensive hobby because then he's gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
You already have a lot of mugs and stuff, girl.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Self-care doesn't have to be expensive.
Right. It does not.
Okay, Nicole, and what's your take?
That would be it, is like find ways to take care of yourself. Figure out what you need. Get silent and get in prayer, meditation, whatever it looks like for you. And find those things that give you your little mini getaways.
That's it. Get you some whimsy.
Get you some whimsy.
Get some whimsy. That's the takeaway, guys. Whimsy. And we're going to put all of Angel's contact information on the bottom. So if you want to reach out to her for some therapy, you could set up your appointment. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Keeps it real. Fancy Nancy's here, she's the deal. A little bit of real, a little bit of fancy. Nicole Russo and my girl, Fancy Nancy. High producing queens, yeah, we're icon status. With that polished grit, you can't combat us.
Trust your gut, honey. She knows what's up. Nick and Nance, a little real, a little fancy.